Pixar almost made a stop-motion animated movie with the director of The Nightmare Before Christmas, Tim Burton. Nope, just kidding. Henry Selick directed The Nightmare Before Christmas. He deserves all the credits. He's also directed many other movies, including James and the Giant Peach and Coraline. In fact, Pixar held a screening of Coraline when it first came out, and John Lasseter was so taken with the film that he offered Henry Selick the chance to direct a Pixar movie. Not only that, but a stop-motion animation movie for Pixar, which would have been a first for the studio. The movie would be called The Shadow King. It would be about a 9-year-old orphan boy named Hap with fantastically weird hands who tries to hide the fact that he's different. But then he meets a living shadow girl who teaches him to use his hands to make shadows come to life. And he must turn his hands into weapons to kill the man who is trying to kill his brother and take over New York City. Yeah, this thing would have been dark. Way darker than any other Pixar movie, and that was probably a problem. Henry Selick later cited that John Lasseter was a huge pain in the butt during production. He constantly had notes, constantly tried to make the Shadow King more family-friendly. Because when you think family-friendly, you think John Lasseter. Production on The Shadow King was chugging along just fine for a while. They even filled out the cast with Pamela Adlon, Brendan Gleeson, Jeffrey Tambor, and Catherine O'Hara. And they filmed about 5 minutes of footage before the whole thing was canceled. The reason for the cancellation seems to be cited as cost. Stop-motion animated films are very expensive to make, and Pixar obviously hates bloated budgets. Plus, a lot of stop-motion films just aren't profitable at the box office, even if they become cult classics later. Frankenweenie would have come out around this time, and it underperformed, so that might have scared Pixar a little bit. The cancellation was so devastating for Henry Selick that he almost quit filmmaking entirely, and only stuck around because of a little show called Key and Peele. Henry Selick was so enamored with the comedic duo that it gave him an idea for another movie, Wendell and Wild, which came out on Netflix a few years ago. Now, the rights for The Shadow King have since reverted back to Henry Selick, and it sounds like he's still interested in making it somewhere. He just doesn't want to work with someone who's more interested in making Toy Story 8 than whatever this glorious thing is going to be.